Welcome to Modern Mystic Messages. I'm Teresa. Welcome back, fam. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I am not even quite sure how this is going to turn about, but hey, this is the way I'm going to have to do it. I have been overanalyzing for the longest how I'm going to go about telling my story, trying to figure out where to start from. That's the biggest part. So I just decided we're going to just do it real and raw, no need to edit. I'm not going to outline. If I need to go back over time, there are some areas that I will probably come back and revisit because I don't know what it is that I'm supposed to tell and this story is going to benefit someone else. I just know that I'm supposed to do this. So I've mulled it around in my head. I've literally been debating and going over a lot of the things that I've learned over the years through this period of hermit mode, introspection, trying to figure things out, and I'm being given a pretty significant message. Oh, I hope I didn't cover up the lens there, and I hope you can stick with me. But before I get around to delivering that message, I wanted to let people know how I arrived at it, so to speak. Because I know what I'm getting ready to say is probably going to irritate some people. It's probably going to anger some people. There's probably going to be some people that think that I'm crazy. And that's completely fine because my message isn't for everyone. My message is for those who are waking up in the matrix and are trying to figure out some direction or possibly even get some information that can help them short circuit their own journey, spiritual journey, awakening, however you want to put it, because we all call it something different as it relates to us. But it's funny because the starting point for me took a couple different turns. I realized that I was going to have to do something different. That something different was happening, I should say. My life started slowing down probably, I would say fairly about 2016 or so. Some of the choices that I made may not have been the wisest. The crazy part is I knew it wasn't the wisest course of action. I did the wrong things for the right reasons, and I may get into that a little bit more. But I was still trying to cooperate with some of the karmic players, if you will, in my life because we had children involved and families and all of that good stuff. However, things had started skewing enough for me that by the end of 2016, I decided that I was going to sit down and start consistently meditating. This is where I started getting into problems because my mind goes all over the place and I was trying to decide, okay, do we start there in 2017 with the first revelation? Do I start back at the original awakening where I kind of started waking up in the matrix? Do I advance a few years to like the first beginning of clairaudience? So we'll get to all of that, but I think I had to start in 2017 because that's when, as they say, I took a left turn at Albuquerque, if you will. I had started listening to Abraham and Esther. In fact, where I think it really, really, like I said, it's almost like a Nautilus shell. In 2008, a long-term friend of mine, truthfully one of the biggest karmic players, if you will, in my experience, because our friendship spanned about 22 years. But that friend it was very like into fatty type things and curious and started mentioning The Secret. Now, I had unplugged from mainstream media and everything else back in 1999, so I heard about popular things kind of after the fact or through other people. So I had heard about The Secret, but I kind of missed all the public uproar about it. But he kept talking about the secret, the secret, the secret. So one day it was either 2008 or the beginning of 2009, I was dropping my daughter off at the mall, something she was looking for, doing whatever. And I wandered into a bookstore that was going out of business. And I was like, let me get this damn book so this boy can stop nagging me about it. And in looking for The Secret, I found that one, and I also found it right near where that book was displayed. There was a book, Money and the Law of Attraction by Esther and Jerry Hicks. So I got that and The Secret, and I went home. Now, I never did finish reading The Secret because I kind of understood. I don't want to be disrespectful of the lady's work, but I understood that there was more to what they were saying than what was there. I read probably 2/3 of the book, and it felt good and all of that, but there's more required, and I wasn't ready at the time, I guess. I don't know. So I kind of got part of the way through it. I started trying to read Money and the Law of Attraction, but it was a lot. It was very fine point print, and a lot of it, I think I made it about 1/3 of the way through, and I put it up on the shelf. But it started something. And about 2 years later, I had moved by then, and my life was beginning to fall apart. I didn't realize it. But right around about 2010, for whatever reason, I was going through some things after the move, and I found Money and the Law of Attraction. And there was a CD in the back of the book, and I had never listened to it. When I stopped to listen to it, I instantly understood the whole concept of channeling and all the rest of that. I got it, that was not Esther that was delivering the messages, that I was listening to Abraham. And the most blissful feeling that I had ever experienced coursed through me. It was like I was grinning from ear to ear, tears of joy streaming down my face. I wish I could say that was just like the beginning and everything got smooth for me, but it didn't. There was still 3 or 4 more years of crumbling to go through because I was doing what I was programmed to do, to try to survive and make it in the world and be a good mom. My choices had led me into single parenthood, and I was just stuck in survival mode at that point, and a lot of things were going around. I did have some spiritual assistance show up. I had a mentor show up in my life. I had an Ifa priest that came and spoke prophecy over my life. I didn't want to hear what he had to say, but truthfully, we'll get back to it. Everything he said hit way harder. It should have freaked me out more than it did. I didn't believe what he was saying was going to happen, but sure enough, less than a decade later, it happened. However, I say all of that to say, through that course of unfortunate events, or the crumbling, if you will, by the time I got to 2016, I had decided I was sick and tired of hearing Abraham and them talking. I was trying to understand law of attraction, like really understand it. So I listened to them for a long time, but I was trying to, by then, figure out what it was that it was going to require to manifest. That was my primary intention, to understand law of attraction so I could learn how to manifest. So it wasn't working. I mean, and I was manifesting some stuff, but you know, until you learn to pay attention, you don't really understand the full totality of what's happening. So I couldn't see what was really going down. But in any event, around September or October, somewhere that in 2016, I made the decision to sit down and actually commit to meditation every day. At first, I said for 30 days. Yeah, here we are 8 years later, and I'm still on it. I'm trying to tell you, get into meditation if you don't do nothing else. But by the time I got to, I'd say about March of 2017, I was beginning to tell my friends, co-workers, and anybody else that would listen. I didn't know where it was going, but I understood that I was undergoing a transformation. Something was happening. And in 2018, the tower hit in my life, like the big tower. I had tower moments throughout life. Like I said, God trying to tell you something. Oh, my whole life fell apart. Like I said, when this last tower hit, yes, I lost everything. Everything. Everything, everything, everything. If it hadn't been for a very good friend of mine and family members, I would have literally been living under a bridge. That's how hard my tower hit in 2018. But the crazy part is, that wasn't the first time. I was so in survival mode, I didn't realize that was the 4th time in my life that I had lost pretty much everything. I mean, at a point where I could pack my life down to about 2 suitcases and 3 storage totes. And every time I lost everything in my life, it was at the hands or as a direct result of people that were supposed to be dealing reciprocally and fairly with me, that were supposed to be people that loved me in my life and all of that. And nah. So it was like I was really stuck on the wrong side of codependency and couldn't even see it. People constantly showing up and pretending to be in my corner, using whatever they could get, and once I had nothing else left to give, I'm out to dry, they're on to the next, I gotta rebuild. So when this last tower hit in 2018, I just decided, you can call it stubbornness, whatever, I shut it all the way down and just came to a full stop. And it freaked my children out. They're adults. They're all off doing their thing. I'm so proud of them. Thankfully, they don't need me for anything, because for a moment, I had nothing left to give. But I also understood that I couldn't keep doing this. I'm not supposed to go through my whole life as building up a little bit and having it snatched away and finally getting back to my knees and then getting kicked back down again. I couldn't do that. By the world's standards at this point, I'm a middle-aged woman and I'm a complete failure. What am I going to do? Because I don't see myself mentally as that. I know who I am mentally, but what I am mentally and spiritually, I've never been able to fully reflect to the world. Partially because of buying into programming and all that. We'll go down those rabbit holes. But I took the time, because I had that luxury of that very dear friend that gave me a roof overhead. I was able to work out an arrangement so that I didn't feel like a charity case. I actually have a very dear friend that I am living with that absolutely never ever, I mean, when I say don't cook, will not eat, past making a bowl of cereal, does not cook, but is a vegetarian, leaning towards veganism. So the city that we live in here in Atlanta, food is expensive. Truthfully, he was spending like $1,000 a month on food because of eating out. And as healthy as you think it is, even still, restaurant food, the way it's prepared is not truly the healthiest way to eat. So I cooked in exchange for my room and board, and it worked out well for us. And I mean, we were friends for, like I said, 18 years. Well, this isn't the same friend that led me to The Secret, but through the course of my life, I met a few friends a long time ago that have still been able to come through the changes with me. Most of them had to go, but this particular one, we're good. So I didn't have to worry about like the day-to-day survival stuff that I had to always scramble back up and rebuild with. And I was able to spend it, like I said, that kind of entered my hermit mode. Now, after all of that, I was beginning to get back into the swing of things a little bit, and then the pandemic hit. So my hermit mode became a lot more extended, and truthfully, I'm thankful for that. Because, well, we're going to get into that, what started to happen in around 2020 in the next video. I want to keep these short for the sake of those for whom data isn't free, and for the platform, because I know those videos can't be too long. So we're going to wrap this one up here, and I will start up with the next video in just a moment. We're going to bump up to 2020.